You've heard this one, right? Maybe you've even said it yourself after a long day chained to a desk. It's one of the catchiest and honestly scariest health headlines from the last few years. The idea that our chairs are the new cigarettes. And look, this isn't just some random wellness blog talking here. This idea has been everywhere, featured in huge outlets like the Los Angeles Times and, yep, even Time magazine. It's been presented as a cold, hard fact. It's a powerful line, no doubt about it. It gets your attention. But when we actually dig into the science, does this really hold up? Is sitting down actually in the same league as lighting up a cigarette? Well, let's find out. All right, we're not going to beat around the bush. Let's get straight to the bottom line and see what the evidence really tells us when we put these two head to head.
There it is. The short answer is a big, emphatic no. Sitting is not the new smoking. Now, that does not mean it's harmless, and we are definitely going to get into the real risks. But putting it in the same category as smoking, the research says that's just plain misleading.
And this right here really puts it all into perspective. Just look at the scale of the risk. Smoking increases your risk of dying from any cause by a massive 180%. Sitting for long periods, that increases your risk by about 22%. I mean, they're not even in the same ballpark.
So, percentages are one thing, but let's talk about what this looks like in the real world with hard numbers. This is where you can really see the massive gap between these two things.
Okay, so take a look at this number. For every 100,000 people, heavy smoking is responsible for over 2,000 excess deaths every single year. It's just a staggering toll.
Now, let's look at the same number for people who sit the most. It's 190. Now, don't get me wrong, 190 is still a serious number we need to pay attention to, but it's more than 10 times smaller than the risk from smoking.
This table just hammers the point home. That RR you see stands for relative risk. A 1.0 means no extra risk. For sitting, the numbers are all around 1.1 or 1.2, a slight increase. Now look at smoking. All of those numbers are over 2.0. That means smoking literally doubles your risk of death from these major diseases. It is a completely different world of danger.
Okay, so we've established it. Sitting is not the new smoking. Case closed on that. But that doesn't let it off the hook. So let's pivot and talk about what the actual scientifically documented dangers of a sedentary life really are.
And yeah, the list is still pretty serious. We're talking about increased risks for heart disease, certain types of cancer, and even mental health issues like depression. But the biggest, most well-documented danger, it has to do with your metabolism.
That's right, 91%. Sitting for long periods is associated with a 91% increased risk of developing type 2 diabetes. This is where the evidence is just rock solid. It basically doubles your risk, and it's all because of what inactivity does to your body on the inside.
So to really understand why sitting is so bad for us metabolically, we need to zoom in. Let's go from those big population studies right down to the microscopic level to see what's actually happening inside your muscles when you're just sitting there.
So I want you to meet the star of this part of the show, an enzyme called lipoprotein lipase, or LPL for short. The best way to think about it is like a little fat vacuum cleaner. It lines your blood vessels, and its job is to grab fat floating by in your blood and pull it into your muscles to be burned as fuel. Super important stuff.
Okay, so here's the kicker. When you sit down, your big muscles, like the ones in your legs and your back, they basically go silent. They stop contracting. And when that happens, the activity of that LPL enzyme just tanks. It plummets by as much as 95%. It's like your body just flips a switch and says, nope, we're not clearing fat from the blood anymore.
And this chart just shows you how dramatic that is. Look at that drop. Your muscles go from being these active, fat-burning furnaces to being almost completely turned off. And all that fat is just left to circulate in your bloodstream where it can start causing problems.
So that's the problem. It sounds pretty bad, right? But what's so incredible is that the science also points to a remarkably simple solution. Let's talk about how easy it is to flip that metabolic switch right back on.
Get this. Researchers found that after a period of sitting around, just a few hours of low-intensity walking cranked that LPL activity back up by 8 times, an 8-fold increase. You don't need some insane workout. You literally just need to get up and walk around.
And this quote from the researchers just sums it up perfectly. The key words here are non-vigorous activity. That's the whole point. Simply breaking up your day, standing up, taking a short stroll, it's enough to reactivate this whole process and give you some powerful protection.
And that really leaves us with something to think about, doesn't it? We get so obsessed with that 30 or 60 minutes we spend in the gym. But what if the science is telling us that the real game changer for our health isn't that one workout, but all the tiny little movements we make, or don't make, during the other 23 hours of the day?